Welcome to the deep dive.
Hello.
So today we're digging into some interesting materials you shared. We've got an astrological forecast for tomorrow, May 21st, 2025.
Right. And then there's a tarot reading.
Yeah, a TarotScope focused specifically on the symbol of the ant.
Okay.
And finally, a short story, a fable called The Colony.
Got it. Three distinct sources. So our goal here, I think, is to see how they connect, maybe overlap.
Exactly. We want to pull out the key insights, the things that really stand out about, well, patience, trust.
Uh-huh. And how small contributions add up.
Yeah, and also the flip side, what happens when you get impatient, maybe lose trust, or forget the community aspect.
Right. So we're aiming for those clear aha moments for you, the listener, without getting bogged down. Quick, but, thorough understanding.
Okay, let's start with that astrology for May 21st. What immediately jumps out is the advice against making rash decisions.
The temptation to leap without looking.
It flags that impulsivity straight away.
Yeah, it's like there's this energy suggesting, whoa, hold on. Pause. Think critically. It also pushes for connecting with others, right?
Yes, like-minded people. For reflection, it says, and accountability.
Which makes sense. It's hard to see your own blind spots sometimes.
Totally. Having that external perspective, people who kind of get it can ground you, stop those knee-jerk reactions maybe.
It's about having a supportive network, which, isn't always easy to build, but valuable.
And that theme of community or connection seems like it might pop up again later.
I think it will. The astrology also mentions taking a break from people-pleasing.
Oh, interesting. And reflecting on past betrayals.
Yeah, but specifically how empowerment came after those experiences.
Okay, so it's not about dwelling on the negative, but remembering your resilience.
Exactly. Reclaiming that power, choosing your own boundaries instead of just seeking approval, drawing on inner strength.
That feels empowering. Then it shifts, talking about channeling inspiration.
Grounding mystical downloads, I think was the phrase.
Yeah. What does that mean in practical terms, do you think?
Well, it sounds like bridging the gap between, say, a great intuitive hit and actually doing something with it.
So not just having the idea, but making a plan, taking concrete steps.
Precisely. Bringing the insight down to earth, making it tangible, actionable.
Okay, and the last bit from the astrology. Stretching beyond familiar mental grooves.
Like break out of your usual thinking patterns. Be open to new ways, new possibilities. Don't get stuck in a rut.
Which actually leads us nicely into the TarotScope, doesn't it? The one focused on the ant.
It really does. Because this reading hits hard on related themes. Impatience, frustration.
Scattered focus, lack of trust and timing.
Yeah.
Sounds familiar.
Ah.
Yeah.
Doesn't it really probes that discomfort with waiting, that restlessness when things feel slow.
It asks you to consider if maybe you're the one resisting the flow, pushing too hard.
Right. And it also warns about comparing yourself to others, that trap.
Oh yeah, seeing their highlight reel and feeling like you're falling behind.
And because you're so focused on the outcome, you miss the value in the here and now, in the process itself.
That's a big one. So the TarotScope says, pause. Trust the work you've already done.
Exactly. Have faith in that groundwork. It suggests that even tiny efforts, like the ant carrying a grain, are crucial to the whole picture.
But only if you have that faith, that surrender. It's not just about being busy.
It's the belief behind the action. Believing those small steps actually do matter.
So it's cautioning against that need to micromanage everything, trying to force results on your own timeline.
Which connects right back to the astrology's warning about impulsive leaks, doesn't it?
It really does. And the TarotScope also mentions community again, reconnecting.
Yeah, it points out how isolation, or maybe being unwilling to ask for help, can actually block your progress.
So this isn't the people-pleasing the astrology warned against.
No, this sounds different. More like genuine connection, mutual support, strength in numbers, perhaps.
Makes sense. And I like this part. Celebrate the small wins.
Yes. Don't dismiss them as nothing, or doubt they'll lead anywhere. Acknowledge each step.
Because those small steps, consistently taken with faith, build something bigger, eventually.
That's the idea. So the final message from the tarot is basically, let go of control a bit.
Trust the timing, even if it's unseen. Trust the process.
Right. Which brings us perfectly to our story, The Colony.
Okay, so we enter Colony 47. Ants. Very ordered, very industrious. Everyone seems dedicated to the collective good.
Yeah, you get this immediate sense of unwavering commitment to the system. Order above all.
Which makes Oren, our main character, stand out immediately. He's the one who pauses, questions.
Which is forbidden, apparently.
Hey!
A disruption. You feel that pressure to just keep moving, don't question.
Definitely. And Oren starts feeling, well, restless, like his tiny efforts are meaningless.
Mm-hmm. And he starts wondering, when do I get mine?
Mm.
He's looking for his reward from the council, this governing body.
That internal struggle feels very much like the impatience the TarotScope was describing. He's lost the bigger picture.
Completely. Focused only on his individual lack. Then Surah, an elder, gives him some advice.
Patience. All threads weave the whole. Beautiful line.
It is. It captures that interconnectedness, the long view. But Oren,
He just rejects it. He's convinced the workers are being exploited by the council.
total distrust in the process, just like the tarot warned against, he can't see those threads.
And that pushes him to act alone, to try and seize something for himself, this golden seed.
Right. He goes to the great chamber, expecting this treasure trove, but finds it empty.
Empty, except for a message carved in the dirt.
The colony is the seed. You carry it, or you are lost.
Powerful.
What does that mean to you?
I think it's hammering home that the collective is the source of life, of sustenance. The individual only thrives as part of it. His value, his contribution, only makes sense within the colony, trying to grab something from it in isolation.
He found there was nothing to grab. The real value was in the shared effort, the carrying of the collective seed.
He has this moment of clarity, right? Realizes his impatience blinded him.
Yes, but it's too late in a way. His actions, his scent, mark him as a traitor.
And he's forced out, exiled into the wilderness.
Alone. Having forsaken that patient weaving. A pretty stark moral.
It really is. Okay, so let's try and weave these threads together ourselves now.
Okay, well, the astrology clearly warns against the exact kind of impatience and rashness that the TarotScope flags as a core issue.
It's like the stars are saying, hey, watch out for this ant energy.
Huh? Yeah, kind of. And the TarotScope then gives us this perfect framework for understanding what's going on inside Oren.
His frustration, his lack of trust, feeling insignificant, it's all laid out in the tarot reading.
And then Oren's story becomes this living example, a cautionary tale of what happens when you give in to those feelings.
Yeah.
The consequences.
Total isolation.
Loss, yeah. But there's also the positive thread, right? The value of small, consistent contributions.
Suda's wisdom, the tarot's point about tiny efforts, the ants just doing their work, it all points to the same thing.
The power of showing up day after day, even when it seems small. Trusting it adds up.
And community keeps coming back. Astrology says connect. Tarot says isolation is bad. Oren's story shows the disaster of leaving the colony.
We seem to need that connection, that support system, whether it's for accountability or just resilience.
Remember the astrology's grounding mystical downloads?
Mm-hmm.
You could almost see the ants doing that literally, taking the big idea of colony survival and grounding it and carrying one tiny grain of sand.
That's a great connection, turning the abstract into concrete daily action.
So, boiling it all down, what are the big takeaways from this deep dive?
I think it's pretty clear. Patience isn't just nice to have, it's often necessary for anything worthwhile.
Trusting the process even when you can't see the end, especially when you can't see it.
Uh-huh. And recognizing that your small contributions really do matter. They're part of a larger whole.
And the danger of impatience, of letting distrust lead you into isolation.
Yeah.
It can really derail things. Self-sabotage almost.
Yeah, exactly. Those seem to be the core insights resonating across all three sources.
So, for you, listening, maybe take a moment to think. Is there an area in your life right now where you feel a bit like Oren? That restlessness.
Mm-hmm.
What are the small grains you're carrying in that area? And what might shift if you leaned into trusting those unseen threads a little more?
Are you maybe focused so much on the destination that you're missing the value in the journey itself?
And perhaps, how could connecting with your own colony, your support network, give you some strength or accountability right now? Something to reflect on.